Well, my name is Mary Sargo Shapiro. On campus for a long time, I was known as Miss Sargo. And I first came to the Fountain Lake campus when I was 2 weeks old. My mom tells me that I attended my first Cobra basketball game then. I started to Fountain Lake as a student in 1963. I was in Miss Johnny Painter's class, and the year that I was in first grade, the building that now I think is kindergarten, preschool, maybe first grade, was under construction. It was a brand new building, and we got to go there and tour and see what our classroom would be like the next year. I'm a 1975 graduate of Fountain Lake High School. I was valedictorian of my class. My inspiration was Dr. Brenda Sellers, who was valedictorian of her class. And I went away to college. Got my degree in music in 3 years after I had approached Superintendent Irvin Bass in my senior year about coming back to teach. I think he referred to me as a pretty gutsy young lady for coming and having a job interview before she ever went off to college. I returned to Fountain Lake in 1979 in the spring of that year to replace a lady named Jean Thornton as an English teacher, and stayed for 40 happy years as choir director and English teacher. Okay. Fountain Lake was a huge part of my life and my family's life. If you come on this campus, you understand that pretty quickly these days because you see my name on a building. And it's not just my name, it's my family's name. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, was a teacher at the Howard Community School, which was one of the school districts that incorporated to become Fountain Lake School. She was the first female board member at Fountain Lake School and was the only one for many years. My dad was a student here and taught here for 32 years. He inspired me to be a teacher as well. And so this was the place where I wanted to be planted and to bloom and to grow. I felt I had an obligation to my community, not only the Fountain Lake community, but a community of educators who helped me as a student. People like June Smedley, Pat Hines, Glenn Caldwell, Lewin Newcomb, John Doster, Roscoe Davis, who was an amazing superintendent, Robbie Hancock, who was an awesome principal. All of these folks inspired me to come back to Fountain Lake and to make this my home so that I could help other students. And I think I've tried to do that. There are a lot of kids that I call my kids, and if you go around the Fountain Lake community, you're going to find a lot of Mary's kids. I think I would have to say there are really two moments because I can't narrow it down to one. My first most memorable moment was walking in front of a classroom at Fountain Lake as a new teacher in January of 1979 and seeing the faces of quite a few kids who had been in study hall with me just 3 short years before. We used to have study hall. And the 7th graders who were in study hall with me were now my sophomores. And it was quite a challenge to face them as a teacher and not to see them just as friends that I used to see in study hall and who looked up to an older student. I think my second most memorable moment was probably my spring concert last year. It was a farewell concert. It was a big moment for me, for my family, and for my students. And I appreciate every moment that I had at Fountain Lake. Makes me a little verklempt.